Pretty Girl Club. Welcome back to the Exotical Storytime series. If you have a story about colorism, texturism, featureism, or your experience with people being jealous of your phenotype, please email me at exoticalsunited@gmail.com. I'm so excited that now we have more than 18,000 subscribers on this channel, so now we really have a voice where people can listen to our side of the story and how we have been treated due to people having resentment for our phenotypes, whether that is our own mothers treating us a certain way or jealous adult family members. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this story. This girl says, "Hello, I love your channel so much. I love what you're doing for women with your platform, giving us a chance to know that we are not alone. This movement is so needed for women who look like us and maybe didn't have mothers to lift us up. I had a tough childhood because of my unambiguous black mother. Looks-wise, people have told me I look like Jasmine Tooks. My skin color is more like Kat Graham, and features/body-wise, I think I look a lot like her. Jasmine Tooks is the biggest compliment though, being that she's a viral Victoria's Secret model. My mother has been told she looks like Venus Williams, face, skin, body-wise, and I would agree. My father is Latino, Puerto Rican. I was born into a notorious cult that I won't mention the name of to maintain my privacy since it is a well-known cult. It was a pro-black, woke, polygamous cult established in the 70s or 80s that had rampant child abuse. One of my first experiences with my mother abusing me was a beating I got for kissing a boy. I was not related to him. I was 5 or 6 years old. I really didn't know what I was doing, and he was a couple years older than me. He was another kid in the cult. A good parent would have understood I was a child being influenced by an older kid and might have even categorized that as me being molested. Instead, my mother blamed me. She was furious. One memory I always maintain is how much vitriolic hatred my mother could emanate towards me throughout my life. She would call me, a child, disgusting, disgraceful, and ingrate, and look at me with so much disgust that, looking back, I can't really fathom any adult treating a child that way. My mother treated me scornfully, only in private. She would reprimand me in front of others in more appropriate ways, but behind closed doors, it was pure hatred at times. When I got caught kissing with the boy by his mother, one of the other wives in the cult, my mother beat me, then I went to sleep. Later that night, while everyone was asleep, she stripped me naked, brought me into the basement of the house, and whipped me with an extension cord until parts of my skin broke and I had painful red whelps all over my body. I remember I didn't go to school for a few days so I could heal and she wouldn't go to jail. I remember it was so painful. I remember the humiliation, even at a young age, of being naked. And I remember at some point during the whipping, I was watching it happen outside of my body. That was the first time I dissociated, and that was something I struggled with throughout my life. I've been diagnosed with CPTSD and have had a lot of needed therapy. My mother has gone back and forth between apologizing for that abuse and denying it. When I was 26, she even called my therapist to tell him I was a liar. The therapist called me and said, "Your mother is a narcissist." As a therapist, I have never had an adult patient's parent call me saying something like this. My therapist made sure to let me know he 100% believed me. It's scary to think that my mother was smiling in my face offering me financial help with therapy and then going behind my back telling that same therapist I was a liar. I think the abuse from such a young age set the tone for the relationship I would always have with my unambiguous mother, where I wanted her to love me and to prove myself to her, but I questioned her love for me and I didn't trust her. I have a huge sense of loyalty to my family, and that's still a part of me. In spite of her personal struggles, my mother is highly educated and accomplished, and she cares a lot about her reputation. And I felt a duty to protect her reputation and the reputation of my family most of my life. Although my mom and dad were a mess, both my parents came from educated two-parent homes. Because of this, I did have a saving grace in my extended family who made sure I had what I needed for the most part. One way I tried to show loyalty to my delusionally pro-black mother was by abandoning my identity as mixed. I felt I had this duty to support and almost worship darker-skinned black women as the most beautiful and regal and deserving of support. It's sad looking back because I believe my mother's abandonment of me emotionally and her abuse caused me to abandon my own identity. There were a lot of factors that caused me to not feel I identified with who I was genetically. That wasn't all my mother's fault. Even so, I think as a mother it was her duty to instill pride into me about who I was. My mother lied to me about who my Puerto Rican father was, and I only found out because I found my birth certificate with his name on it when I was 10. I pressed her until eventually she admitted she lied. Around that time, my father came into my life and I got to know my Latin side, eat mofongo, and meet my other relatives. Thinking back, it's crazy to realize now that my mother's envy of lighter skinned women with fine features contributed to how she treated me. My mother told me she was embarrassed that I was so light skinned, especially as a baby, because people would ask her if she was my nanny. She said she always felt I rejected her as a baby, which is so weird to me. She says it was because I was colicky and cried a lot. I see now it's a projection. The truth is, she rejected me because of my skin color and features. My mother always complained about how flat and wide her nose was, and would always go back and forth about whether she wanted a nose job. She never complimented my nose, but one day she went to a plastic surgeon who temporarily injected her nose to give it a bridge to look exactly like mine. It looked so bad. My mother would come to me asking what I thought about her getting a nose job. I never really knew what to say and thought it was odd since she was so pro black and never wanted to compliment women with the phenotype she obviously wanted. When I learned how to do makeup and lost my baby fat, my mother would ask, "Did you have a nose job?" when I had never touched my face. This woman who saw me my whole life knows I look like my father, who has the same nose as me, would try to ask me if my natural nose was fake. I get that makeup can change your face, but it is really puzzling how your own mother can be the person accusing you of this. If I send her photos now as an adult, she'll ask if there's a filter on it. Hater shit. The level of envy she has for lighter skinned women is so sick. My mother would try to confide in me and talk to me like a mom when I became an adult. One time she told me that she walked by a magazine and saw Beyonce on the cover and felt so envious of her life. To think that a woman could compare her life to Beyonce is pretty insane to me, especially since my mother is so successful. As I've gotten older, I really see that no matter how successful many of these dark skinned women are, no matter how pro black they pretend to be, they really are jealous of lighter skinned women and they put that on their children, especially their daughters. I am 30 now and I'm actually really happy with my life. I did a lot of serious work to make my life into what it is today, where I know I am beautiful, I enjoy my job, and there's no room in my life for haters. As mixed women, we get the hate and envy from every group that isn't us. We can also be cruel to each other. Studies show genetic diversity lends to healthier babies. We are genetically blessed. We should be proud, thankful, and we should unite and love one another. I work on forgiving my mother. It might sound harsh, but she's far from the mighty woman I once looked up to and thought was this untouchable authority, almost like a goddess. Now I see her as pathetic, small, and karma has really come back to her. I'm feminine, girly, loving, vivacious, intelligent, hardworking, and proud that I can support myself after the challenges I faced. I am loved and admired for my strength by all the people who really know me. My mother has aged terribly, and a lot of the truth about the way she has treated me has come out within our family. She can't defend it, and she is actually scared of me now because of the stuff I could say about her, but choose not to. She tries to act like the way she treated me never happened by reaching out and being fake, but I just never feel she's genuine. A jealous person can never be happy for your success. I hope all the women whose mothers are their first bullies remember that your superpower can be that you can easily pick up on a hater. Don't deny your instincts, but do your best to forgive so you can live a happy and fulfilled life. It is possible. Thank you, Exoticals United, for what your platform is doing. Wow, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I have noticed that sometimes when women do not like their own phenotype, they have babies with men of different backgrounds, very similar to what unambiguous black men have had a history of doing. And then they have a child of the same gender, and then they feel like a sense of rivalry with that child, or they are disappointed because the child didn't look like them, or the child looks like how they really wanted to look deep down inside. And so I've noticed that if a person has jealousy against you, it's impossible for them to be nurturing towards you and build you up. And think about it. How can someone build you up if they can't even build themselves up? How can someone love you properly if they don't even love themselves properly? But what do you ladies think? Have you ever had a jealous family member? Have you had family members from one of your backgrounds be mean to you? Do you have a mother that has a different phenotype than you? Like maybe you had an unambiguous mother or an unambiguous father who made disparaging comments about your phenotype. Have you ever had one of your parents act like they were jealous of you because of the way that you look? What do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.